podcasting from Portland East to Portland West, from Big Pine Key to Pacific Beach, and from San Juan to Guam. This is All Across America. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Howdy. Good to be here, man.
You've been a juggler, a fire eater, a magician, and most prominently a mentalist, motivational speaker, and author. That's entertainment. How'd you get started in show business?
I grew up weird, man. That's the secret. I don't know. It's like my dad bought a magic kit when I was 5 or 6. And he was like, "This would be a good throwaway gift for Christmas." And then I just never stopped playing with it. So it's just kind of one of those things of everything I've ever been interested in, that has been useful context for me to go down those rabbit holes. So it just kind of was the single most interesting thing that I've found. And that's what I've spent my whole life chasing.
Wow. I mean, I've dabbled a little magic myself. I bought a couple kits for my kids. I don't know that they're going to become professional magicians, but in your case.
Yeah, that's how it wound up. Like, since I kept playing with it for a year plus, and Dad going, "All right, I guess he's into this." Then as a kid, they'd let me stay up to watch any magicians that were on the Late Show. Like this goes back to the Carson show. That's how old I am and how early this started. So there was Lance Burton on the Carson show one night, and the magic was great. I was like, "Lovely assistants. What? Awesome." So this is how I'm going to meet people. And that was a big part of how I got to connect with folks and make friends and all that kind of stuff. Like years later, I get to go see Lance Burton, go backstage and thank him for basically giving me the strategy to get everything I've ever wanted out of life. It's like, you helped me get started. He's like, "Thank you." And that was Scarlett and Joanne. I was like, "Please thank them," because that was lovely. Their work was amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Burton, but the true thanks goes to your lovely assistants.
That's it.
But that's amazing how full circle it's become. And, I think one of the great things about magician, there's just such a mentorship and circle and brotherhood in the magician circles that there aren't maybe in a lot of other professions, particularly for performers. I don't feel like actors have that same camaraderie. I feel like it's more cutthroat in a way.
Yeah, it's very much what's in it for me. I got to look out for mine kind of competition. There's only one role and one actor that's going to get it, and we're all trying to vie for it. So there's a lot of that surface area, like, "Oh, we're all in this together," and then it's ruthless, right? And sure, there's infighting, there's backbiting, there's any kind of community. There's going to be all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's very much a mentor dynamic of kind of passing the mantle to the next generation. And that really is the secret of any success that I've had, is having a mentor who taught me how it all works. So you mentioned the juggling. Yeah, I learned how to juggle from my dad and my uncles. They sewed blue jean bean bags. They cut up blue jeans and sewed them together and filled them full of rice and beans to make juggling bean bags. And then learned that when I was 12 or 13. Then there was a summer program run by a guy who had been a professional clown for 20 years, retired up to the mountains. And he was the guy running the summer program. He was like, "Oh, you know how to juggle. You want to learn to juggle pins?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And then he gave me a old busted set of pins to juggle. And then he goes, "Well, now that you know how to do that, you want to set them on fire?" Like, "Yes, I do." So then that's how you learn how to juggle fire. And then he taught me how to perform, because up until then, I was just doing tricks for my dad, my family, that kind of thing. I wasn't a performer, and I was super shy. And I see a difference between introverted and shy. Like, introverted is whether or not being around people bums you out. They just get exhausted being around people. Shy is no matter what, I'm not gonna talk to anybody for any reason kind of thing. But I started noticing that the people who could speak up for what they want were the people that got it. The popular kids who were able to be outgoing. Oh, look, they get everything. Okay, if I never speak up for myself, if I never ask for anything, I'm not gonna get it. And my mom always told me, it's like, if you never ask, the answer is always no. All right,
Correct.
got it. So learning how to perform got me out of my shell. But since I was following his show, his shtick, I just knew his script. He's like, you've seen me do this hundreds of times, doing like street performing stuff. Just do the show. Like, oh, okay. So it's not whether or not I'm good. I'm using his script, his jokes, his gags, get his laughs. Oh, okay. So there's not really like those personal identity stakes wrapped up in, am I good enough? Are they going to like me? Who cares? I'm doing the script that I know works.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of bifurcation between the onstage persona and then the how I'm wired to be as a person. So that's why even still today, I say, listen, I'm an outgoing introvert. I recharge by not talking to anybody for weeks on end. I'd be happy with that. But I've got one skill and it's being in front of an audience. So I either go do what I'm good at and get paid for it, and that's how I pay my bills, or I'm broke. So you pick your poison. Yeah.
So would you say you're different on stage than you are off stage?
Different in terms of dialing up the parts that help communicate the right ideas to the right audience at the right time. That's it. A lot of people get wrapped up in authenticity. I'm like, "Oh, so you wanna burp, fart, and sneeze on stage? Is that what you're talking about?" Like, that that's not really going to help communicate the right idea. I mean, unless it is, but probably not. So on stage, it's more about there's law number 1, know thyself. Law number 2, know thy audience, and everything else is easy. So it's asking who is my audience? Who's there? Why are they there? What do they want out of their time there? What do they need to remember, think, or feel at the end of my time with them? And then you work backwards from there and engineer an experience that will deliver those memories and emotions and that kind of stuff. So what part of me do I need to share to communicate that? Okay, cool. That's the part that I need to dial up to 11. And if there's a part of me that's going to distract from that, dial that down to 1 or 0. So it's not so much inauthentic and I'm playing a part and that kind of thing. Because I did do that side of it. I had a whole stage name and it's like a punk rock mind reader. I had a trained cockroach that would spell out the word you're thinking about. But it what didn't it like conceptually it was hilarious and awesome, but it didn't land the way that I wanted it to. And I had a like an 8-inch mohawk and everything, but I wanted a more kumbaya kind of vibe than punk rock, but I was heavily influenced by another mentor that I was on the road with to learn the business of how do you get booked to be a performer? How do you talk to your client when you're on site if you're super introverted? Right? They're bringing you in to be the rock star on stage, but then before the show, oh yeah, no, the show starts the moment you're talking to the client or
Right.
the prospective client. So you can't just be your normal introverted self beforehand and then walk out on stage because you got to schmooze the person that's trusting you with their reputation and help them feel confident that we did bring in the right guy. Okay, cool. Right, so the show happens way before the show starts on stage and ends on stage. So those are real big lessons about connection and relationships and
Yeah.
networking and your on-stage persona, your off-stage persona. Yeah.
I mean, that is to me true entertainment, and I love it in that you're there and I am here as a podcaster to entertain my audience and give them what they want and have them take away something, rather than sometimes you have people on stage who make it more about them, and I don't feel like that's the recipe for success in any way. And, it makes a lot of sense in that if you're, I guess, dialing up or dialing back certain parts of your personality in order to better articulate what you're trying to get across, then perfect, do it.
Yeah. Like, absolutely. I'll wrap that in because I had to learn that whole make it about them lesson the hard way over several years. Because from my thinking, and it really makes sense, is listen, I've spent a literal lifetime learning how to do things that 99.9% of people on planet Earth can't do. They straight up can't do it because they didn't spend a lifetime growing up weird and practicing obsessively for weeks and years for something that takes up 2 minutes of stage time. Like, that's just an unreasonable way to live. Okay. All right. So when I was going out on my own to be a professional to do the show, it's my show. People are coming to see me. I'm the star. I've literally trained my whole life for this show to do something that the audience can't do. If the audience could do it, why am I on stage? They should be on stage. So it's the me show. Look what I can do that you can't. That's the conceit. And that's interesting to a point. That's kind of like sideshow carnival stuff. Like, come see the sideshow freak show. Look at these guys that are weird like you aren't. Oh, let me go look at that. Right. So that's interesting for about 5 minutes where you go, well, yeah, that guy can do things that I can't. Must be nice for him, I guess. He was born that way. He studied in the mountains of the Himalayas to learn advanced meditation techniques. Okay, cool, but I didn't. There's nothing for me to learn here. And I was wondering why I wasn't getting booked back because I had performer friends that had come back to the same. There's a side note, there's a whole world of performers that you'll never know about making a great living doing shows at colleges because colleges have an entertainment fund. And then, like, this week, they've got a comedian, next week, a juggler, next week, a hypnotist, next week, a magician, next week, right? So you could be on tour and only be visible to college students that eventually graduate and then move on to planning conferences and stuff. And then that's how you kind of expand out. You grow into it as the students graduate. But I had performer friends that had been to the same school literally 20 years in a row
Wow.
and multiple schools like that. Where, like, I got these 6 schools that I go there every year, have for the past 15 years, will do it, right? Like, it's amazing, and I didn't have any of those. I was like, "What is going on?" Like, the show's incredible, I can do things nobody else can. Yeah, okay, it's the me show. So, I had to go on the journey of, okay, it's interesting that I can do what I can do, but again, it doesn't teach people anything. What if I put all my skills and techniques and frame them as making the audience members the star of the show? So, from a method standpoint, nothing changes, but from a how it's presented, everything's different. So, for example, imagine just for a second that I know what card you're going to stop me on. If I deal through a deck and you say stop and look at that, I knew you would stop at that card. Okay, you'd go, well, how did you know that? That's interesting. But if I go, I have a card in mind and you're going to find it, you just say stop and you say stop. And then there's the card I was thinking of, and I can prove it because I wrote down which card I was thinking of, and you stopped at that card. Now you're going, wait, how did I do that? What is that something I can tap into? Is that going to be useful in my relationships? Like now that's massively interesting. From a how does it work standpoint, same thing. Like just you got techniques, you got skills of sleight of hand to make it happen. But the make you interesting show is way more interesting. And now, if I'm there to celebrate the audience and to devote all of my skills to making you look good, suddenly you're going to love me. So, in a purely selfish standpoint, making you look the best you can look is the best strategy for me to get everything that I've ever wanted. And if you can do that just long enough to get over your ego of it has to be the me show, you start getting results and you're going, oh my God, this is amazing. And then that selfish part of you goes, this is great. But then you go, you know what? This is actually really cool to help other people. Oh, okay. This is more fun to be more focused on other folks. So the stage character was Johnny Zavant, Zavant, like an idiot savant, but punked up with a Z.
Like it.
So that was the punk rock mind reader kind of angle where I would have somebody come up, think of a symbol or a shape, shuffle a loaf of bread, choose a piece, put it in the toaster, concentrate on the toaster, and then it would pop up with the symbol they're thinking of burned into the bread, right? Like that kind of stupid stuff that is just hilarious. But it didn't really communicate a lot about life and meaning and the power of imagining what success looks like and then putting all of your energy into reality to transform the nature of the universe to bend to your will. Like that's cool, right? So kind of put all that down and then focused more on helping people understand the nature of how you think about stuff and motivation and discipline and creativity and memory and all that kind of mental dimension to success that most people skip over because they're like, all right, what email program do I need to use to mass mail as many leads as possible? Like, you're skipping a lot of steps there, guy. Like, what does success look like to you? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, can you tell me? Oh, actually, I can't. I just am busy doing stuff I think I should be doing. You're like, okay, let's dig into that a little bit. Right. So being able to climb inside people's heads and help them see what's going on there is super useful.
So you talk about climbing inside of people's heads. I mean, I guess that's so much about mentalism in a way that, but most mentalists will say that they can't read minds, but there's,
Right.
do you feel the same way? But there's got to be an intuition involved in some respects, but then also just understanding people. Like where does that all fit in?
Kind of. Oh, man. What a big question. It's fascinating and it'll bum you out at the same time at how predictable people are. And even bigger, like meta context, there's meta deception in that a lot of folks think that the deception is some trick or method for this particular thing to work. But it's more about big picture. How do you present things that look real even though they're not? So, like, it's a layer out. So, this gets real meta real quick. So, good
Let's
luck
do it.
for a lot of folks. So, all right. So you're right. There's nobody that can read minds that just like look at you and then tell you what street you grew up on without some trickery involved. Okay. But through information architecture, you may not even know, like literally you told them, but you don't know how you told them. And I don't mean body language and eye twitches and that kind of thing. Like you literally told them. Like, oh, you bought tickets to the show. Your mailing address is tied to your credit card. And now they can Google Street View what color your front door is. But in the context of the show, there's no way he went to that trouble. There's no way that he looked at that 2 days ago and just remembered it, and then in the course of the show, picked me out of the crowd because when I checked in, he had his check-in person tell him who Bob Stevens was or whatever. There's no way that they went to that amount of trouble just be like, "You have a green door." Like, no way. Yes way. Like, that's how it can work, right?
Yeah.
So so that's why also people are so predictable. That's another weird part of it, which is that magic tricks, like the 3 cups and balls trick that most people are familiar with of, "Oh, I've seen a magician do that." It goes back to ancient Egyptian times.
Right.
Like, there's a hieroglyph of it might be somebody baking bread, but magicians like to say, "Oh, it's the cups and balls trick." So, who knows? But the same silly methods have been working for 10,000 years, regardless of what culture people came from. Like, the same methods show up in every magician tradition across the world. So, it's not a cultural contextual thing. It's a how human minds interface with reality kind of thing. And there's some goofy wiring that make magic tricks possible because you can't do magic tricks for a camera. Like, the camera doesn't blink, there's no mind there to interpret what it's seeing. So I'm fascinated to see what kind of magic tricks we can do with AI eventually, but that's a whole other thing. But the fact that the same stupid methods work for everybody on planet Earth means that the psychology research that is going through the replication crisis, you're doing the same experiments in the same way, but you're not getting the same results as you got back in the 70s when it was done, means that scientific psychology research isn't tapped into the same hardware software interface that magic is, which is why, oh, using this method that looks silly when you see it, but it creates an outsized effect on your audience that's just blown away. Oh, okay, that's cool. So, how does this trick work is a different question from why do tricks work big picture, which is an even smaller question than why do tricks? Why are they possible? And once you kind of decode that, now you've just unlocked all communication skills, all persuasion, influence, like there's no end to it. So when a magician's saying people are predictable, it's not just that everybody picks the 3 of clubs or whatever. It's that there are methods you can use with everybody on planet Earth to make them think what you want them to think, which is terrifying,
Wow. Well, without
right? But
giving
that's
away
that's the secret to branding, to marketing, to sales, blah 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 blah, everything.
without giving away too many secrets, I mean, could you give us an example?
Yeah, like the real answer is the magician creates a context for the audience to make logical assumptions that are later shown to not be true. That's it. It's a whole thing. Well, what is context? Context is where are you? Are you in a theater? Are you in a performance? Are you in a church? Are you like that's a whole different vibe. You could do the same methods in church. That's going to mean something totally different. Oh, that was what was so genius about David Blaine when he hit the world, which is, oh, he's not in a theater. He's not on stage. He is. It's just that his stage is your television. So purportedly, he's on the sidewalk, he's on the street. Sure, for the people experiencing the magic trick with him, it was on the street, but you're experiencing it at home watching your television. But the conceit was that this isn't a staged performance because it's not on stage. right? So he's playing with the context. So who's saying it, who's doing it, for what reasons, for who, and where are they at what time? All of that is meaningful for you to experience it in the way that the magician wants you to experience it. So then, given that context, you're led to believe and to decide things about what it is that you're seeing. And that's why the best magicians don't lie. They create the environment for you to come to those conclusions yourself. But you've been given the information by the magician that you think you're discovering, but you're not. You're using the pieces available to you that, oh, yeah, were put there by the magician to believe certain things about what it is that you're seeing. And then you've told yourself the lie, and you're going to believe yourself more than anything the magician says,
Right. I mean,
right? Like that's terrifying too.
yeah, I mean, it's almost like the idea behind changing somebody's mind in that one of the best strategies is to get the person to think that they came up with the idea, and it sounds like that's exactly what a magician is doing.
Exactly. And what is it? That it's easier to fool somebody than to convince them they've been fooled. Right? I forget who said that quote, but it is absolutely true because I've I've done things and people are like, I know how you did that. You talk to the spirits. That's it. I'm like, I don't. I know exactly how I did it. I did it very well, thank you, because I've practiced a lifetime to do that. And I'm telling you, that's not it. No, you can't tell me that's not it. I know for sure you've got the gift. I'm like, out of the two of us, I think I'm better equipped to know what I did, but they just won't hear it, right? Like it's amazing how powerful that can be.
So you talked a little bit about mentors and you brought up James Randi. Can you talk about that relationship?
Yeah. Oh man. So I went to college at Berea in Kentucky. If your parents make over a certain amount of money, you can't go. My dad grew up working in factories. My mom was a secretary. So if I didn't go to Berea, I wouldn't have gone to college. And the psychology department was bringing Randy in to do a lecture series for like talk to classes and then do a big presentation for the whole school. And I just kind of knew that he was a magician. And somebody was like, "Oh, are you excited that Randy's coming?" I'm like, "Who's that guy?" Look him up, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I got to talk to this dude." So I cut classes to hang out with him, and we hit it off. And then I start working at his foundation over the summer when I'm in school, handling applications for his $1 million paranormal challenge. So I lived at the foundation in Fort Lauderdale, handling applications for people who claimed to be able to do all sorts of supernatural stuff, predict the future, talk to dead people, you name it. There were people who were convinced they could do it. So tell us what you can do, under what conditions, with what accuracy. We design a pass fail test that if you've got the goods, you'll be able to pass it, no problems. If you're trying to use trickery, you won't be able to do it because, oh yeah, Randy's old as dirt, seen every trick in the book. You're not gonna fool him. So I worked with him for like 13 years,
Wow.
helping run a science conference every year as kind of a fundraiser for the foundation that ran in Vegas every year. So that was a lot of fun. So by working with him, I learned a lot of old school performing stuff and how to behave on stage as a performer, as a mentalist, somebody who can do amazing things. And it was just fascinating watching him be famous to people. That was the coolest part that wasn't a direct thing until I asked him about it. But he was very gracious with his time and attention and made time for people who were big fans of him. So there wasn't ever I'm too busy, I'm too important, please leave me alone, I got somewhere to go. So he was very comfortable being famous to people, which that's such a weird insider baseball thing to think about, but famous people have a life too, man. Like
Yeah.
they've got a lot going on. And then a fan thinking you owe them time because they know who you are, but you've never met them before. It's a real strange parasocial relationship.
It is.
Right? Yeah. And then if you aren't that onstage persona and people love you onstage persona and they meet you day to day and you aren't that razzmatazz stage persona, it's extraordinarily disorienting for them. But it's even worse for you because you know they don't love you, they love the character,
Right.
which is deeply isolating. And I'm not good enough, so I have to go pretend to be somebody else, which a lot of performers spiral out about, which is why it's good to not just be yourself on stage because yourself also sits on the couch in your underwear watching Netflix, and that's not what people are paying you money to do. But it's better to be who you are and not misrepresent your core self and convictions, which is why, like, to me, that's the real authenticity issue that people are trying to figure out is how do I how do I work in a way that is in alignment with my fundamental convictions about life and reality. So
But
never compromise that, then you won't run into those traps.
is that why you moved on from the Savant piece
Yeah.
and the mohawk?
Yeah.
Maybe the 8-inch mohawk wasn't your true actualized self?
Yeah, it just never felt like me, because the guy I was on tour with had Liberty spikes and did a punk rock show, like, he broke cinder blocks over his head and ate fire and did bed of nails and that kinda stuff. So then I couldn't get into the venue as his tour manager because I looked like this, and people would be like, "There's no way in the world that you're that guy's" like, "Nope, you're not part of the show." So I had trouble getting back into the venue. I just went out to the car and I'm coming back and can't get in because security is like, "No, it's the freak show and you look like you sell Bibles." Like there's no. So so that's why when we were on the road, he gave me the mohawk and then I was like, "Yeah, when we walk on the plane, everybody's like, those two guys are in a show together." Like that makes sense.
Right.
But it wasn't in alignment with how I wanted to show up in the world, which is why I did that. But also, like, okay, so doing the show helps distract people from their problems for an hour, but then they go right back to their problems. And me growing up in a trailer park in the mountains, North Carolina, and then touring the world and doing all the stuff I can do, okay, that's a pretty cool brain stuff, mind and mentality and motivation stuff. Okay. What if I kind of took people behind the curtain to explain how all the psychology works that I've used on myself to believe I can do the things I could do to accomplish the things I can accomplish? Oh, these skills would be massively valuable to companies. Oh, okay. Is some CEO of a $50 million company ever going to authorize paying some guy named Johnny Savant, the mind reader? Absolutely not. Like, no way, no how. Like, the board's going to crawl all up his butt, be like, you gave him how much money to do what? We don't need a mentalist. We don't need a magician. We don't need some birthday party clown who isn't worth $50. Like, what's wrong with you? Okay. But if you had a communication expert who can help your team be more persuasive, to have more effective branding, to communicate your core convictions about why the company exists in the first place and who they can help and why, oh, that's marketing, and helping this person understand why they should give that company money. Oh, yeah, that's sales. And helping that client understand the value they're getting from this relationship. Oh, look at that. That's delivery. So your entire organization can be better if you hire me to train your teams to think the way that I think.
So what are
What
your
would that be
couple
worth to your company?
money? What are a couple of your, core principles when you're talking to these
It's
folks?
not about you. Yeah, like, I'm very much of the value for value world, right? Like, the thing is everybody is tuned into WIIFM, what's in it for me. They just are. They don't care what your problems are. They don't care what situation you're dealing with. They don't care what challenges you're facing. "Hey, I gotta pay for this thing, and I really need your help." Okay, fine. To a certain extent, sure. People are altruistic. They'll donate to causes and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But if you can deliver value, it's much easier to get value. Not all value is dollars. I'm not just talking about dollars, right? But you can't just take value without delivering value of some sort. So understand what people value, help them understand how they could get more of that value with your help, and suddenly you're super important. Then it's much easier to get paid, right? So that's the show. Again, the me show is interesting, but people aren't going to pay that much money for the me show beyond once. But if it's the them show, and then you are the easiest, most effective path to getting what they want, they'll pay you all day long a lot of money if you've learned how to solve valuable problems.
Yes.
And since all problems are communication problems, the better you get at communication, the easier time it is getting paid. That's really it. So it's it's just communication stuff.
And is it more your way of presenting, is it more frame of mind, or are there, I don't know, magical phrases or scripts that you recommend, words to use, words to avoid?
All of that stuff is downstream from the foundational work of what do you want? What does success look like? And what's the real problem between you and that picture of success? So, really, it is head work in terms of how do you think about your problems? And are you thinking about the correct problem? So, my most valuable work is with CEOs and a lot of founder CEOs who are spending a lot of time, effort, and energy solving the wrong problems. So, before we can talk about tactics, which is the right word or the right button color on the website, before you can talk about strategy, oh, we're going to do a lot of content to flood them. Okay, why is that strategy useful in the first place? Oh, because you think it solves this problem. You don't even have that problem. Here's the real problem because you're not thinking about your resources the right way. You're not thinking about your constraints the right way. You're not thinking about your role in the right way. So it is all head stuff that's deeper, farther upstream, whatever way you want to picture it, than strategy or tactics. So it really is problem framing is the most valuable thing that I can do. And it usually shows up with business owners in I'm making a lot of choices and it feels like every choice I make causes three more problems. And this, it just is heavier than I think it should be. Nothing is as straightforward as it used to be. I'm not as clear on what's going on. And it's because there's a lot of fog around what it is you think you're doing and why you're doing it and how you should be doing it and all that kind of stuff. And they're so close that they don't know that those beliefs are even there in the first place. But magicians know how to see that. And they're uniquely positioned in all of humanity to be able to understand those kinds of mental processes because those are the mental processes we use to make the tiger show up on stage. So it's just thinking about their problems like designing a show. It's just that there's $50 million on the line, but it's all show design.
And so let's talk about tigers. So, what processes is a magician using to get that tiger on stage, and how does that correlate to business, to real life?
Number one, know thyself. Do you want to do a show where tigers show up? Is that the kind of show you want to do? Okay, let's assume you do. Great. You've just spent a lifetime learning how to do that. It's nice that this is what you wanted to do. Okay. So that's the show you want to be designing. Cool. Let's design it. Law number two, know thy audience. You have to understand the perspective of the audience. And I mean that in a literal way. Where are they sitting? What's their sight line? The mezzanine, is that too high of an angle to see into the box and see that hidden flap where the tiger's hidden? Are they too far around the sides? Okay, if so, let's cordon that off because that access, that vantage point is not advantageous for the effect you're trying to create. Right? Like, so you literally have to understand the physics of where your audience is sitting. Once you experience it that viscerally, that directly from line of sight way, then you've got kind of in your bones that feeling of, okay, is the company positioned the right way in the marketplace for the audience, the market, to perceive the business the way you want them to perceive you? Are you using the right imagery, the right words, the right context, the right situation? Like all of that has a very direct correlation to on stage terms. So if you've mastered the on stage techniques and strategies of making that tiger show up, oh, okay, now we're just designing that effect, but that's the goal of this marketing campaign. That's the goal of this branding. That's the goal of this sales conversation.
And I feel like sometimes people on the inside are often the worst people at seeing things because they're just so used to one perspective. They're always on the inside looking out rather than on the outside looking into the window. And I guess that's kind of that big shift in focus that can be pretty hard for people to not only understand, but to even know that it's there.
Big time, big time. And the culprit is the curse of knowledge. That's what that is. And most magic is duct tape and cardboard. If the audience could see what is going on to make the magic happen, they'd be like, that's the most sad, depressing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I know that because my first job out of college was working at a magic shop at Universal Studios in Orlando. So we would do a 12-minute show. You could buy everything that we did. And we would do that sometimes 15, 20 times a day, 6 days a week for 3 years.
Wow.
Like I ran the numbers once. It was something north of 15,000 times I did that 12-minute show.
Wow.
Okay. And it blows people's minds. They'll go, oh my God, it's amazing. And you're like, yeah, you can buy the kit for $75. You could do everything you saw me do. And they're like, oh my God, yeah. They pay $75. They read the instructions and then they're pissed off. How dare you? You must think I'm an idiot for something that stupid to work on me. Like, that's never going to work. That will never work. And I have to politely remind them that it just worked $75 worth. Right? So the instant you know how something works, your entire understanding of reality shifts to accommodate it as obvious. Of course it works that way. How else would it work? It's so obvious. Oh, okay. And now you discount how valuable and amazing it is to somebody who doesn't know how that works. So it's not that magicians are keeping secrets because we have to keep secrets. It's that the audience is mad when they know how simple it is. How dare you impress me that you can do these amazing things if that's all you were doing? So there's that disconnect between what it takes to accomplish the goals and how amazing those goals are. That's why everybody that's really good at what they do, like, oh, I'm super ripped. I got 8-pack abs. It's super simple, good eating, and you go to the gym. Easy. It's not that difficult, guys. But the magic is in how you do it. Okay. So these tech founders are the most egregious examples of this because they've developed this tech that can change the world, cure cancer. You can cure cancer. Why in the world did it take you 20 minutes of talking about peptides and DNA sequences to talk about abnormal cell growth is completely removed in the test subject? Are you telling me you can cure cancer? Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have put it that way. I would have bummed you out by talking for 20 minutes in terms you don't understand. Oh, it's because you're so close to it that you don't understand how little I understand about your world. Oh, okay. So that's kind of my superpower is being able to talk with tech founders to understand what it is that they can do and then translate that to human terms that my mom will be able to understand, which is code for, oh, great marketing, easy sales, easier time retaining clients, and that kind of thing. So another way of putting that is, yeah, it's real hard to read the label from inside the bottle. They're so close to it. They're inside their own headspace. They can't translate it outside the terms that they know how to understand it. And then, therefore, like just this morning before hopping on here, I was talking with a tech founder who can do incredible things with predictive analytics. Give him a giant data set and swarming analytics and all sorts of stuff. If he listens to this podcast, he'll know I'm talking about him. And we go back and forth on, oh, well, I wouldn't say it that way. And I'm like, I know. That's why we're going to do it my way.
Right.
So I'm his translator of, well, what's the goal of this communication? What are you trying to get across? So my wife is a science communicator too, big podcaster and all sorts of cool stuff. Like her podcast got picked up by Discovery years back. Like she's awesome. And a big revelation that she had was you don't have to sacrifice accuracy for simplicity.
Right.
You can make it simple without it being inaccurate. But most tech founders need it to be literal. And that's complicated. So helping somebody understand is different from enumerating details in a factual, encyclopedic way.
Gotcha. You said, say anything with enough confidence and people will believe you. Humans are intellectually lazy.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of ways we could come at that. But confidence has nothing to do with accuracy either. Because there are people, you make a woman float on stage, whatever. There are people who will be absolutely convinced that they know it's electromagnets. Randy told me a story about that when he went to see one of his magician friends do a magic show, like just Copperfield, whatever, making somebody float. And his science nerd friend leaned over and he's like, this is super irresponsible of the magician. And Randy was like, I'm going to pin that for conversation later. Let's talk about that. And then after the show, Randy was like, what did you mean? He goes, it's irresponsible using electromagnets that powerful in an audience full of people who have pacemakers and all sorts of electronics that could be damaged with a field that strong. Like, completely irresponsible. And he's like, it's wires. She is hanging from wires. Oh, okay. Right. So the dude is 1,000% convinced he knows reality, but it is 0% accurate with what's actually going on. So on that side of it, your conviction of how convinced you are of whether or not you said that thing, I remember saying that. Your conviction of how certain you are that you said that has nothing to do with the actual whether or not you did. Your brain it's running off the same amount of electricity it takes to run your fridge light bulb. That's all the power your brain has to work with.
Yeah.
It's like 5 watts or whatever. Like it's seriously low. We are not we are not super powered brains, right? That's it. So the fact that we can do anything is amazing. And since we have such low power, like tight power constraints and so much to do to stay alive, it's no wonder that we've got automated routines that don't take a lot of thought. You've walked on the ground your whole life. It's been solid. Okay, cool. I'm not even going to think about it. Walk pattern, go.
Yeah.
Neat. Then you walk across wet concrete. Oh, whoops. I was certain that was solid ground. I was so certain that I didn't even question that it was solid ground. It wasn't even a thing I was even thinking about. Well, you were behaving in a way that was consistent with the belief that the ground is solid. But it wasn't, and you're not aware of it until too late. Whoops. Okay, neat. So there's that side of it, but then there's the other side of it of, he sounds really sure. And we're just wired for certainty. And somebody that can give us that certainty, wow, he looks real certain. Oh, he sounds certain. Oh, great. So our little certainty switch gets flipped, and therefore, yeah, I can be confident that he's telling the truth, that this is correct, because you wouldn't be that certain about something you weren't certain about. So, of course, he has to be right. And that's not even a conversation you're aware that you're having with yourself. That's like evolution had that talk with you 100 million years ago, and it's been done and decided. So that's why we just respond to certainty at the evolutionary level, and therefore we don't even question it. Like, oh, there's a fire, we have to go now. I guess I'm going, right? Like that. It's existential level kind of thing, which is why we're just wired to respond to it with "you got a boss." Like we're herd creatures, weirdly.
You had done a really great Mark Twain quote, one that I'd never heard of before. It says, "Good judgment is a result of experience, and experience the result of bad judgment." You talk about that, and I don't know, some of your learnings from doing things wrong. I mean, we've all done things wrong. So
Oh, oh man, we got a whole other hour to tell you all the stuff I screwed up. I mean, like having this superpower of persuasion and communication, it's a double-edged sword because I can talk my way into real dumb situations. Like confusing the role with identity is a real big one. So for the longest time, my identity was I'm a full-time performer. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I'm all about. That's the single focus of my entire life is I'm a performer. Okay. But I wasn't getting booked all that much. I didn't have a lot of money. My car was 8 months overdue, missed payments for 8 months, got repossessed on my then girlfriend's birthday.
fun.
But then I got on the phone and talked my way out of it, and they returned the car. So I didn't learn anything. I was like, well, this works for me. Cool. So I still kept doing that, right? And that was a result of my identity as the role of performer that I presented as a way of, look at me. I'm the most interesting person in the room here. So I had to let go of that role as identity. So instead, I'm a person who's fascinated by understanding how people make decisions and solve problems. The role of performer, I explore that identity this way, but that opened up the ability for me to care about other people and that I'm fascinated by helping people. Oh, okay. So now the show does it this way, but now I can take all these skills and educate and train and empower. Oh, look at that. Now I'm doing corporate consulting. And it's just as much fun to do corporate consulting as it was to be the rock star on stage
Wow.
because it's an expression of identity in a different role. But if I conflated role as identity, I couldn't do that. That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. That's not me, man. I'm this guy. Well, that guy kind of sucks. He's broke. He's busted. I mean, not a lot to him, right? It's like if you're wrapped up in yourself, it doesn't make for a big package. So that was the biggest one. That was the biggest head trip of, oh, I can do all these phenomenal things and I'm still busted upstairs. Like I didn't figure out that whole, why don't you care about other people maybe? Wouldn't that be interesting if you did that for once? Like, oh, okay. Weird. Yeah.
So you talked in your book how you got booed in front of 1,200 people, but you didn't elaborate in the book. I'd
Oh,
love to
yeah.
hear the story.
Oh, yeah. I'll try to make it as short as possible because it's like 45 full minutes of mishaps. Like it's just one thing after another, and a lot of this makes more sense if you're a performer in the venues that I've worked in. Like this will make a lot more sense. But okay, the context is there's a convention for college performers, and all the college students who book performers for their school come to this trade show where there's just booth after booth of performers. There's a juggler, there's the magician, there's 12 magicians at this place, there's 12 jugglers, there's 30 comedians. Like, holy cow, it's a big meat market of the world's weirdest performers. Okay. And then there's a showcase performance where you all apply and then the board picks, oh, this is going to be the showcase performance. So you're not just there with your booth, you get to do your thing for 10 minutes in front of the audience as, here's what I can do. Don't you want to hire me? You do a good job at that, you're booked for the next 2 years. I got that performing slot. Super important. My agent is there. Mentalist mentor of mine is in the room. To this day, he swears he doesn't remember being there, but he was. Like, you don't write a book about memory and tell me you don't remember, you piece of crap. So he was there, and through a series of misadventures, it's completely messed me up. Like, I presented a trick as fake influence. Like, pick the deck, red or blue. Which one do you want to? And they pick blue. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, pick another one. And I'm shaking the red one. So you're kind of like browbeating them into going the correct way. But at the end, it all makes sense and it's funny. Except we're in the middle of the routine. And then this wall of sound hits the audience, like crazy music out of nowhere. And I look back and I see tech guys around my laptop and they're backing away from it. And it clicks in my head, I forgot to plug in my laptop. And oh, that explains why when they announced me and I triggered my walk-on music, nothing happened. It's because I didn't plug my laptop into the sound system when I came back from sound check. But my music plays forever until I tell it to fade out, so it's still playing. And the tech guys were like, oh, this should be plugged in. They were literally helping me. And I told the guy at the board who otherwise would have had my laptop muted, I specifically told him, keep it unmuted. I'm going to play music you won't know when. So he's literally asking me he did the thing I asked him to do. They're helping me. And that music comes on in the middle of everything. And then I go, please give it up for the tech guys who are helping me out a lot, which I had the pseudo asshole performing framing of the pick one. No, the real one. So when I said they're helping me, the audience was seeing it through the lens of, oh no, Jonathan's kind of a dick. He's throwing those guys under the bus. Oh, let's give it up for them who are doing a real good job, everybody. No, they really were doing a good job. But because I looked like a jerk, I sounded like a jerk when I was genuine.
Oh.
Right? And the audience was like, I don't like this guy.
Ooh.
It confused the lady because it jarred her out of things. She was dealing and forgot where she was dealing. Turns over the card. It really is her card. I remember it to the day I die. 8 of diamonds. Is that your card? And she goes, no. She meant like no as in like no way,
Right.
but only no came out. And I'm like, no, really? Is that your card? And she goes, what? Oh, yes, it is. So it looks like I'm browbeating her into just going along with it.
Oh.
And I know that's how it's coming across to the audience. And I get the flop sweats. And she's like, oh, that's gross. And then I get so flustered, I completely screw up the next trick. And I'm trying everything to massage it, like, but it could, in the right lighting could look right. Yeah, close enough for government work. Well, you know who was in the audience? Government employees booking the USO show.
Wow.
They started booing.
Oh.
And everybody else was like, you know what? Yeah, this guy needs it.
Oh.
Boo!
Oh,
Boo!
man.
So they all boo me. And then I'm freaked out because the timer of 10 minutes had stopped working at like 7 minutes in. So I'm terrified of them shutting the lights off and muting my mic and then getting pulled off and how embarrassing that would be. So I'm like freaked out, like there's so much going wrong here that they boo me. And I'm like, yep, good night, and walk off stage. Yeah, just a nightmare. I got booked from that for a troupe tour.
Really?
Because they recognized my name. They didn't remember why. So the next month when my agent calls them, like, hey, we got Jonathan here doing a mind reading show. I'm like, yeah, he sounds familiar. Yeah, let's go. He must be good.
So it wasn't all bad news.
Come on. Right. So that completely freed me of the fear of failure. It didn't teach me the lesson that I don't need to prepare. Like, I over prepare now. Like,
Right.
Holy cow, that will never happen again. I'm going to make some newer, better, more interesting mess ups. But yeah, the worst thing that could possibly happen happened. Didn't kill me. Still get booked. Oh, okay. Tomorrow's another day. Let's move.
What are the majority of your gigs these days? Is it more straight mentalism, or are you doing, business clients, a combination of both?
Yeah, most of how I spend my days is I work with a very small handful of clients to help them solve the right problems and do that kind of executive. It's not coaching, it's not consulting. It's a thing that doesn't have a term. It's just helping them identify what challenges they're actually working on and then propagating that through the entire company to sharpen up their branding, marketing, sales, and delivery. And since it is such a fundamental thing, that's why it can positively affect all those things. So I do that most of the day, most days, which I can do from here. I don't need to be on the road to do it. So I've got 2 young daughters. They only have one childhood. I'm not going to miss it.
Yeah.
So the amount of money that somebody would have to pay me to miss that is ridiculous. Sometimes they do pay it, and then I go on the road, go do the thing, and then a couple days later I'm back home. But for the most part, my days of touring to do the show part of it are behind me, and I'm super happy that they are, because now I get to help raise my family and solve super massive, valuable, fascinating problems in a way that the show never even came close to doing.
What's one of the problems that you've helped solve that you're most proud of?
The one that's the easiest to talk about for folks to like wrap their head around is I literally solved $1 million problem with a single click. And it's one of those, are you working on the right problem kind of things. Had a client who was following everything to the T until he wasn't, and I didn't know he wasn't until he blamed me for not listening to me, which is a weird situation to be in. Like, that's real delicate.
Yeah.
getting a call, you cost me $1 million in business. That's a tough conversation. Holy crap. And how do you say, no, I didn't, in a way that preserves the relationship long term?
Yeah.
So hear the guy out and like, I'm going to bust some heads to figure this out. And long story short was he was getting a new website built. And then because he wanted this particular plugin because it was using his system that I was like, you should be using that system. It was like, it's the one I used to and it works. I'm like, okay, but don't. I'm going to. All right. So the right team who was supposed to launch the website got locked out by the plugin developers, unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to like, they're not going to tell me that, hey, we got locked out. We're not launching the website. But that dev team launches the website. And if you're familiar with WordPress, and I am, because in high school in the 90s, I would hand write HTML in Notepad, save it as a .html, and open it in Netscape. That's how long I've been building websites, and I'm just fascinated by the technology of the internet. I was around the first day WordPress came into existence, and I was like, this solves a lot of cool problems. I'm going to use this stack. Cool. Well, there's a single button that says discourage Google from indexing or crawlers from indexing the website, which is common to have enabled when you're developing a website. And when you launch it, you should uncheck that box.
Right.
But the dev team didn't. So the 10,000 visits that guy gets every month that turns into $1 million, literally overnight, once that website got launched, and discouraged Google and Bing and everybody else and their mom to ignore the website. Gee, I wonder why fewer than 100 people visited it over the last month.
So it wasn't popping up on Google search.
So he wasn't getting found like he was. That was his sole source of traffic to the website where he gets paid.
Right.
So for a month, sales just dropped to zero. I'm doing everything you told me to do, and you just cost me $1 million. Oh, okay. Neat. So instead of arguing, instead of debating, yes, and cool, I just cost you $1 million and I'm going to figure this out. I'm in line with my dad at a barbecue place, and I'm like, it can't be this simple. Call him back. Hey, log into your website. Go here. Is that box checked? Yeah, uncheck it. I just solved your problem. We'll talk more about this later. Then walk him through. Here's why that happened. You didn't listen to me.
Did he ever apologize?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah. I take back all those bad things I said about you. I'm so sorry. And we worked together for like the next year until he didn't need me anymore. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes that's all it is.
But it's literally one of those solved $1 million with a single click, but it was understanding the real problem, not arguing about
who to blame.
Yeah.
And right.
So, yeah.
So what advice would you give to folks, one, who are interested in becoming a mentalist or stage performance, and two, business leaders, tech entrepreneurs trying to grow their business?
It's the same answer to both sides. For reals, which is learn how to do a simple magic trick, because it will teach you everything you need to know about being a better communicator. Because at first you're going to read this and be like, it's so simple, this will never work. And then you do it, and then you realize, oh, it doesn't work because I don't have the skills. I'm not as good at communicating as I thought I was. Oh, okay. I still have a lot going on in my head that shows up in my nerves. My hands are shaking and I'm freaked out about this. Oh, I'm freaked out about my value proposition. I'm freaked out about whether or not I could even be an entrepreneur. And that's showing up as a shaky hands leader. So my team doesn't believe me. Oh, it's all on me. Oh, okay. Then once you really buy into, I have to believe the magic trick before my audience will. Oh, okay. And I've got to have the skills to pull it off without even having to think about it. Oh, that's going to take a lot more work than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Then you put in the reps, then you get good at it. Then it'll be an interesting puzzle. Then you'll get really good. And now you can perform a miracle that people go, when did you know you had the gift? At that point, you're a great communicator and you'll understand just how difficult it is to communicate something so simple.
Yeah.
And if you want to be more persuasive with the truth, learn to be a better liar. And magic tricks are the only context where it's okay to lie to people. I mean, like aside from lying to a terrorist or hostage negotiations and that kind of thing, right? But in day to day, in most people's experience, it's okay to do a magic trick because Randy used to say, like, his documentary on Netflix is An Honest Liar because he goes, we're honest liars. We tell our audience we're going to lie to them, and then we do. That's the only reason it's okay. Like, oh, okay. But you don't know how hard it is to lie until you start trying to lie and be convincing at it. Then you realize, oh, that's why I'm not persuasive when I'm telling the truth, because I thought being honest was the only prerequisite for changing minds. Oh, it's not just whether or not I'm sharing something that is in alignment with reality. It's also how I'm doing it, how I'm showing up doing it, the words I'm using, the tone I'm using, the timing I'm using. Oh, all that matters? I had no clue. I know. I know you had no clue. And you don't have a clue until you start doing magic tricks and you go, holy crap, this is hard. Even the simple ones. So if you want to learn magic tricks, if you want to be a better entrepreneur, better leader, learn a magic trick. Just make it your one party stunt that you know how to do. And then you'll understand that's a little universe of your business. And
I like it.
everything else will make a lot more sense.
Well, we talked, you brought up James Randi again, and maybe we could end where we began, and, were there any entries of the $1,000,000 challenge that almost made it through, that almost fooled you and Amazing Randi?
I wish. Yeah. Yeah. Weirdly, that's a sadder story than I thought it would be when I started working there. Because the reason the challenge existed was as a hammer to professional liars who knew that they're lying to people and defrauding them and making claims that they can't back up.
Yeah,
Okay, like I'm not going to name names because now you're open to slander and
right.
all that kind of stuff. But the people who lie to people about, oh yeah, sure, I could talk to your dead dad for $20,000, then I'll get you in touch with it. Like, what would you give to talk to your family member one more time?
Yeah.
Everything, right? There was one lady in an audience who was just like, I wouldn't pay anything. Like, okay, we know a lot about you now. So that challenge was, okay, if you claim to actually be able to talk to dead people and do that kind of stuff for $20,000, do it for us in a way that you can't cheat. Get the $1,000,000 and give it to a charity, like whatever you want. So they're professionals. They know that that's what it is. They know that they're never going to ever step anywhere close to that challenge. And that was the like, why don't you do it? Why don't you just do 5 minutes? Just show us. Oh, you're not. Because you can't. Can you? Right? Like that was the goal. But for it to be a real challenge, it needed to be open. So the people who applied were the people who genuinely believe they've got the juice.
Wow.
So they might not have a lot going on in their life, not a lot going on for them in their life. This is their one special thing. And almost every single one said some version of the same thing, which is, I know you must hear this a lot, but I'm going to take your money. I'm sorry, but I'm legit. And thank you. And we're like, please don't. Please test it. Here's the protocol. Test this at home this way and see what the results are. I don't need to do that. I know I'm legit. I know I'm real. I'm going to spend my last dollar coming down here because I got to get that $1,000,000. Then they test, they fail, and that's a real sad room to be in,
Oh.
man. Like, it's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Such a bummer. Like, and it's not like, "Haha, I got you. Haha, you failed." It's just like I wish this didn't have to happen this way.
Oh.
Like, man. So I say this in the show, like, I don't get into that bummer side of it, but in the show, I say, "So I saw every way that people tried to scam their way to the $1,000,000, and I thought, I can do these scams better than they can, and that's the show you're seeing." Right? So that's how I frame it. So, like, so then after the show, people are like, "So when did you know you had the gift?" I'm like, "Did you not hear the part where I said scams? This whole thing is a big scam," right? Which that's why it's meta deception, which is because it is really good communication skills. It is real high level thought and frameworks and all that kind of stuff, but it's stuff that I was taught. It's not I'm not talking to spirits, I'm not talking to dead people. I can't predict the lottery numbers, otherwise I'd be much richer than I am, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, it was just sad and bummed out, like it wasn't a good time. You're just like, I know how this is gonna play out.
Wow. You know, I would think that it would be people who were the scammer types that you would feel good about, kind of pulling the rug from under them, but not realizing that many of the entries were
Yeah.
people who truly did believe they had something special. And not only did they waste their money on plane tickets, but also they were robbed of their superpowers.
Yep. Yeah, there
That's
was
tough.
one lady that you're happy that she got. And this is super fascinating too, like another like metacognition level, which is you have to prevent trickery in a way where she doesn't know that the trickery is prevented so that she feels comfortable pulling the trickery so that you can show her doing it
Right.
as proof that she's not really doing the thing. Because if she knows that you know what the trick is, she's not going to do it and be like, "Oh, I'm not feeling it today."
Right.
And then she's not going to do the thing. So Randy made a completely opaque box. This lady claimed to be able to read with her fingertips, blindfolded. So, okay, so you've got this super deep, shallow, like it's not very tall, but it's very deep. So your hands can go in and touch whatever's at the far end, but you'd have to like lean down to look in to see what's there, right? So she's blindfolded and got her hands in there, and she's reading the serial number of a dollar bill. Like, okay, cool. What she didn't know was that it wasn't an opaque box. It was actually transparent acrylic with a red film on one side and a green film on the other side, like acetate, plastic, clear, like gel, right? Red and green look black to visible light, but is completely transparent to infrared. So you've got this camera that's visible light and that video camera set to infrared. So you see what somebody would see, which is the opaque box, but that camera has an X-ray view of what's going on inside the box. And you see her bring the dollar bill to the edge of the box with her elbow straight so that there's no movement of her shoulders. So it doesn't look like she's doing it, but she's bringing the dollar bill to the very, very edge, just looking down under the blindfold and reading the serial number and then putting it back at the far end of the box. You're like, you weren't just like reading with your eyeballs, were you? Because look at that. What's on tape? Oh, gotcha. Like that was cool. But like the mind that came up with, oh yeah, we'll just put green and red and it'll look black, but then it'll be transparent to infrared. Like you have to know your stuff, man, to come up with something that crazy to work. Like marvelous mind. Like what a sharp person. Like Randy to come up with that situation, that trap for her to like walk into willingly. And like, what a level of understanding of people and motivations and science and perception and technology all coming together, which is why, like, Randy was often hounding scientists to have magicians on board for parapsychology research, because magicians are real good at deceiving people and are better equipped to see it and detect it than a scientist is. Like, when was the last time an amoeba lied to you? Like, never.
Yeah.
Like, data is data. I don't understand. Well, you're not used to data lying to you. These people might be lying to you. And do you know how to recognize it if they are? Oh, we would know. They wouldn't do something like that. Our protocols. You're like, okay,
You almost feel like you've taken the red pill.
yes. Absolutely, 1000%. That is why that is my favorite movie of all time, and I know a lot of nerds and a lot of weirdos are like, "Well, Red Pill, yeah." But that is the best documentary ever. Like, holy cow, it is. It's a documentary, it's not movie, it's
Yeah.
not entertainment, it's education.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you understand how people work and the motivations and how they think about things, you can then engineer what thoughts they're going to have. And that's propaganda. That's mass communication. That's influence. That's persuasion. That's manipulation. Like, it just, yeah, it's all right there. But again, it's hard for people to think outside their experience. And if you haven't spent a lifetime experiencing experience, you're not going to be able to get outside that little box you call your mind. That's why asking somebody, why did you do that? About the most useless question you could possibly ask them, because most people don't have access to that little black box called decision making. They come up with reasons, post factual justifications. This makes sense. Yeah, that's why. But that certainty of why I did that has nothing to do with why they actually did. Why did you stop there? Well, I just felt right. Like, well, I made you do that, but okay, that's the real answer is I engineered it.
Yeah.
But you can't live in a world where that's possible, because that would call a lot of yourself into question. So you're going to believe that you had something to say about it. Good luck.
Well, where can people find out more about you, Jonathan?
Easiest place to go is askjwp.com. That's my hub
All right.
that all the other projects spoke out of. Most people don't know how to spell Jonathan Pritchard. So askjwp.com
I like it.
is it.
All right. Well, Jonathan Pritchard,
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, it's an honor to be invited to share my thoughts, and I genuinely, deeply appreciate that you actually read the books. I've been on something like 280 something podcasts, and the number of people that took the time to even read the back blurb of the book, I can count on a single hand.
Wow.
So thank you so much for spending so much time with my thoughts.
Well, I do my homework. And, I would be remiss. I wouldn't have learned a lot of things had I not read them. And so I don't know how people can have folks on their podcast and not do the work, but I don't know. That's me. So, but glad you appreciate it. Glad you noticed it as well. So, but thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
All Across America is produced by me, Marco Vig, in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Visit us on Instagram at All Across America. Check out our website, allacrossamerica.com. There's an interactive map with all our episodes, and there's a Contact Us page where you can send your reactions, guest ideas, and suggestions. So get in touch, stay connected. To me, that's what podcasting is all about. Thanks for listening.